What is going on, everybody? Welcome to our Wednesday workshop. This is going to be a fun one. It's about one of the most important topics that we've all heard so much about, that unicorn. It's funny. I was just watching this movie about unicorns and had Paul Rudd in it. It was like this place where, oh, there were some magical unicorns. But one of the magical unicorns that we all talk about in life and business is, wow, wouldn't it be great to roll out of bed on a Monday morning, the first day of the month, and know, hey, I've got $10,000 in recurring revenue coming to the bank, whether I work or not. It's truly passive income. And for a lot of us, I've been an entrepreneur going back to 2002. So, yeah, that dates me a little bit. 23 years that I've been an entrepreneur and, been successful, failed at big levels, succeeded at big levels. And I can tell you that part of my journey, and I bet a lot of your journey, has been, hey, how can I actually get to that point where I can generate truly passive income? And that, my friends, is something that so many people have been looking for. And today, I'm going to show you the culmination of what has been $1 million spent in that pursuit. But it can't just be about the money. There has to be a mission bigger than that. And for me, that mission is, how can I support entrepreneurs? How can I support business owners? They create most of the jobs in this country. They create the products and the services that make our lives better, that make it so that you have air conditioning. Right now, my son just got back from Brazil, where he served a mission for 2 years. My daughter is in Spain. And oddly enough, they don't have this thing called air conditioning. And so it's amazing how important technology is and how much support technology requires in order for an entrepreneur, business owner to succeed. And so that, my friends, is my mission. If that sounds like a mission you want to be a part of, and the outcome can be amazing passive income and an epic life for you and your family, then stay tuned in this workshop, and we're going to show you exactly how this works and what the outcome has been to the $1 million that we've invested into this software program. So first of all, again, this workshop is going to be the steps to create 6 figures of true passive income that comes in every single month. That's the magic. We're going to unpack this. So if that sounds like a good deal to you, type yes in the chat box if you want to go all in with this topic for me for the next 60 minutes. Yes in the chat box if you're all in, if that sounds like a win for you. Okay, there we go. Okay, Tink, Jennifer, wow, that's crazy. Bill says absolutely yes. Al's a yes. Jason, Wayne, Crystal, I appreciate that. Love the energy, love the engagement on a Wednesday. It's obviously noon East Coast time. For the rest of us, it is the morning. So let's jump into this. So it's actually closer to 3 years now. I came to this big realization that, and mind you, I built multiple 8 figure finance companies in the business funding space. A lot of you probably know. Again, my name is Leo Cannell, founder of 7 Figures Funding. But 3 years ago, I realized, wow. And I love the funding space, and it's such a huge opportunity, and it still is. And for some of you might be in our funding machine community, and you're building 7 figure, 8 figure empires. And one of the key components of that we realized is there needs to be a recurring revenue stream built into your business. And if there isn't, then you miss out on this huge opportunity to, number one, serve your clients better, and to, number two, create epic recurring revenue that comes in every single month. So I realized a few years ago, wow, I've been able to help all these business owners, but I didn't take the next step. I didn't have a long-term solution where they could benefit that would help solve a big problem of theirs. And it was a drop ball for me, because it could have, all the tens of thousands of clients I serve, what if they were all paying $100 a month on a very important fintech platform that generated recurring revenue, passive income for me and my business? And I thought, wow, I really dropped the ball on that. Because when you don't have recurring revenue streams that come in month after month from sales that happened months, even years ago, you're always behind the 8 ball. You've got to find more clients to pay the bills, especially if you've got a team of employees and you got salaries to pay and you got benefits. My office rent here is about, it's jumped up to $8,600 a month, right? Everything gets more expensive. And when you have recurring revenue, it provides amazing opportunities. And as we've been on this journey and now we've got up to $1.5 million in annual recurring revenue that we've generated in just the last 10 months. And our goal is to be at $10 million in the next 3 years. I can tell you that's changed everything. It has meant more of a burden taken off of our shoulders, knowing that bills are paid before the start of the month because we have those recurring revenue streams. This is my wife, my 5 kids. Playa del Carmen, one of our favorite places to go. We also like to go to Disney World, Orlando every year. We've got some Airbnb properties that we can stay at for free. But all of this happened by design, by intentionally saying, how can we create recurring revenue streams in our business? It didn't happen by accident. And so as I ask myself, what if I could monetize more of my leads and provide a powerful software that paid me passively for years to come? That was the question that I had. And so I'm curious, if you think about all the people that you've served in your business, in your space, what if you were generating a small recurring revenue commission from each of them that you helped? How much would you be making in passive income on a monthly basis? Type in the chat box. I'm just curious. Even if only half of the people you helped were on some sort of passive income software that they needed, what kind of revenue would you be generating in a passive context right now? I'm just curious. Would it be a few $1,000s a month? Would it be 100? There we go. Al says it'd be $100,000. And that's it. That's the realization. That's the aha moment, right? Gail says 6 figures or more. Great to see you, Gail. Terrace has been in real estate since '05. I can't even imagine. It's such a huge opportunity. And just by not thinking about it and not having, and it's like Jay Abraham says, he is a great business consultant. He consults 8, 9 figure businesses. And he says, listen, if you really care about your client, there's 2 ways to grow your business and serve them. Number one, you've got your core product, but number two, if you have an additional upsell, an additional solution that solves a big problem for them, that's a huge opportunity. So let's look at this just in a numerical context. Like, what can these numbers look like? Jason says he's left $10,000 a month on the table. I know exactly how you feel. So let's look at some opportunities here. Let's say that you generate a $300 annual commission because you have a customer paying like $100 a month on a software that they need for their business. Okay, so very reasonable. We're not talking about crazy numbers here. And let's say that you sign up just a person a day, 7 a week. Is one person a day breaking any records? It's really not. You can do that part-time. You can do that with doing so many things. Maybe you're in the digital marketing space. Maybe you're in the business coaching space, or maybe you're in the business funding space with me, and you're helping serve those business owners anyway. And if you had that additional solution for them, well, my gosh, that would be $100,000 in recurring revenue. And I'm going to show you in just a few minutes how it would also generate upfront commissions of over $200,000, per year. And so my quick question to you is, if you had that $100,000 in recurring revenue, how much would that change your life? Would that change your life? Yes or no? Type in the chat box. Would that make an impact? What if it was half that amount? What if it was $50,000 recurring? Maybe that pays your mortgage. Maybe that pays, car payments. Maybe that takes care of food. Does that make a difference? Yeah, Bill's exactly right. Even half that amount makes a big difference, right? Most definitely. I can tell you it's been an enormous weight off of our shoulders just knowing, when you're a business owner and you've got 30, 35, 40 employees, it's nice to know that the salaries are paid, that rent's paid each month, going into the month versus, oh, we've got to take care of this. We got to generate all this money for the month to pay the bills. That is a big weight off our shoulders. And so the question that I had, okay, great. That's what I want to do. Stephen Covey, author of the book, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, says, start with the end in mind. Okay, great. Well, that's the end in mind. We want to count. How can we generate that passive income? And so the question becomes, okay, great, that's what we want to do. Well, how do we get there? We got to have a solution to a problem for the clients that we serve. And so what are some of the struggles that new business owners have? What challenges do established small business owners have? What are some of their challenges? Type in the chat box. Let's brainstorm for a second here. Here we go. Joe says, I'm an insurance agent, broke for 22 years. Our residual income was mid sixes in the 90s. Imagine what that would be today. Exactly right. Booyah, Jennifer just hit the button. Yes, funding capital, cash flow, marketing, client acquisition. These are all massive challenges and so forth as to why business owners succeed and fail. Capital is huge, right? So if you haven't heard of our funding machine community, go to myfundingmachine.com and we've built out a system to help fund small business owners because that's the front end, right? The front end is the business owner needs access to capital and they're going to fail with no capital, but there's something else that makes them fail because even after I get somebody funded, I've seen this for the last decade, some clients will get money and they will not succeed in their business, and that is a true tragedy. So here's somebody really smart, right? I'm always about how can I find someone who is accomplished more than me, who's created a roadmap, and how can I learn from them? I was just reading a quote from Socrates shared by Cody Sanchez on X yesterday, and I was telling my kids this at the dinner table. I'm listening, hey, smart people learn from everyone and everything. Average people learn from their own experience, and stupid people think they have all the answers. So, who can we learn from that's further down the road from us? Well, how about this guy, Don Valentine? He invested and mentored Steve Jobs, Steve Wozniak with Apple, Larry Page, Sergey Brin of Google, Electronic Arts, YouTube, the PayPal guys, including Elon Musk, Nvidia, probably heard about them, $4 trillion market cap company run by Jensen and Huang. Well, here's what he said. In business, there are two things that matter, and you can learn this in 2 minutes. You don't need to go to business school for 2 years and spend $100,000, which most people like to do. In fact, high gross margins and cash flow, the other financial metrics you can forget. So that's it. So how do you track if your business has high gross margins and cash flow? Because it's one thing to think you're doing well in business, and it's quite another to know that you're doing well in business. And that's what's crazy. And I'm going to tell you a story here of my own experience where I had a business that was generating millions of dollars, but I had no idea if we were actually having any cash flow, any profits. So, what exactly is cash flow? Let's define this. Cash flow is having a chunk of money left in your bank account at the end of the month so you can hire a new salesperson, buy equipment, invest in your next big innovative marketing campaign, and most importantly, pay yourself. Is it important, true or false, to be able to pay yourself as the business owner? Type in the chat box true if that's true for you. Because I know a lot of business owners that take great pride in the fact that, oh, I just reinvest in my business. They never pay themselves. I've done that. That is not fun. That is not fun at all. All right. Todd says, heck yeah. Charlie says, true. Gail says, true. I say true. Jennifer, 100%. Tara, true. Harry, true. It's very true. And it's one of the tragedies is you've got great entrepreneurs building teams, product services, and they're barely getting by. And they're barely getting by because they don't know how to track cash flow. They don't know how, and you can even be profitable in your business and actually have no cash flow. And that is a very frustrating place to be. So let's look at the data, right? There's what we think, and there's what's true, what's irrefutable. So here's what the data shows. Here are the top reasons why business failed. Number one says, okay, they're outcompeted. Someone has a way better product or service. That's 19% of issues. 23% struggle to build a team, good employees. 29% they just run out of money, right? They didn't have that business funding, which is what we do at Seven Figures Funding. Probably a lot of you do as well. There's no market need. They don't really solve a problem very well. And because they don't have a great solution to the problem they're trying to solve, they don't succeed. But the number one problem is none of these. The number one problem, and even after the business owner gets access to money and capital, is they experience cash flow issues and problems. They don't know how to track it. They don't know if they're actually making a profit. They just look at the bank account and they think, oh, there's money. And then all of a sudden they start bouncing checks, negative balances, overdraft fees. And that is a common theme. I remember looking at the business bank statements of one of the clients we were serving who needed funding, and he literally was going negative 82,000 in his bank account almost every month. And he was paying like $10,000 in overdraft fees, and he was on this hamster wheel that he couldn't get off, and he couldn't figure it out, and he just had no idea if he was making money or losing money. Money was coming in the bank account but was going out faster than it was coming in, and that's the common issue here. That's why so many small businesses fail. And so for me, my experience with this was in 2016, I launched a business finance company out of my kitchen. We're growing super fast. We look so successful, millions of dollars in sales, dozens of employees. We're going to all these big events. We're sponsoring Grant Cardone events, Russell Brunson events, doing all this cool stuff. And we look so successful from the outside of the business. But inside the business, things were not going well. We were burning cash at an alarming rate. And remember where I talked about business owners who can't pay themselves? Well, I remember it well. In January 2018, that was the last time I was able to pay myself with that business. Month after month, savings accounts were emptied. I started taking on all sorts of personal debt because we didn't have enough money left over to pay ourselves as business owners. And so 2 years after launching that business in 2016, I remember it well. It was right around my daughter's birthday of August 15th, 2018. I sent an email out to my former business partners. I'm like, guys, I'm out. I know what we need to do to right the ship, but because um, we all have to be on the same page. We were not all on the same page. I knew I couldn't right the ship. So I'm going to take all of this massive debt, some of it, half of it business debt, and some of it personal debt with me, and I'm going to start over. Good luck. And they laughed at me and said, ha ha, well, good luck to you. And by the way, you can't take any of our referral partners that you already brought on board over the last 2 years because legally you can't do that. And so I had to start over with everything. And as Tony Robbins says, when we succeed, we party. And when we fail, we ponder. How many of you have done some of that pondering? Type in the chat box, yes, if you've been there. It's so easy. Success is the worst teacher of all, but failure's a wonderful teacher, isn't it? Yep. Vince knows what I'm talking about. Katrina, right? Tara. So this is what I started to realize as I went through this is I didn't understand how to create cash flow because you actually have to create it purposely and intentionally before you start the business, right? Or while you're running the business, you have to have the right business model. And I realized I had the wrong business model. And I'm going to give you guys an actual case study and show you what I was doing wrong and why things were so bad. I had no idea how to track cash flow and know if we were winning. I just knew we had bank accounts, money came in, we had expenses, money came out, but it was very confusing. And one of the big things that you need is you need to be able to make good decisions, right? Can we make that next hire? Can we invest in that marketing campaign? And if you don't have good data with your business finances, you don't make those good decisions because you're just guessing. And you never want to guess in business. You want to be very certain in the decisions that you make. And so for me, obviously I had the wrong business partners. Our culture was missing values and principles, but still, I just didn't know if clearly we were not winning. We were making money, but we weren't keeping it because we didn't have the ability to track that cash flow. So I said, all right, I'm going to sit down with this 30-year veteran CPA, chief financial officer for a little company called Harley Davidson. Fortunately, Ty, who would become my future business partner here, his stepdad, Dwight there, has all this experience. And I'm like, Dwight, teach me what I don't know so that I can win and actually bring money in, but actually hold on to it as the business owner. It's actually, you can have a great product and service, bring in a bunch of money, but if you don't keep it, you're in trouble. And so when we restarted this time, I understood the cash flow and I knew every week I would be able to track it. We're making money, we're losing money, et cetera, et cetera. And so that's what we did. And we started off really strong. 2019, brand new business. We did over $1 million in sales, but we did it profitably with all sorts of cash flow. And then we ran into a little issue in March of 2020. Tap the chat box. Did you run into a little issue in March of 2020? That thing called the pandemic. And for us, most of our business was coming from live events, right? Yeah, that little COVID issue, a big issue, says Tara. And that was super frustrating because all of our live events were canceled. And that was 60% of our business. So I remember it was about sometime in early April. I'm sitting in our cold office. A lot of people working from home. And I'm like, dang, how are we going to survive? But I knew, number one, because we had all that cash flow and we had planned for the future, that I was going to be able to make an investment into a partner portal and pivot to virtual events. And that's exactly what we did. One of our first big strategic partners, Steven and Chelsea, connected up. And in June, we did this big virtual event where hundreds of people went through our partner portal because we had that cash flow. We've been able to manage it previously, and that allowed us to make the right decision moving forward. And then the results were incredible thereafter, right? We got the Tucama Club. We had record months, 4 months into the pandemic, July, August, September. We're having all these record sales months. And I'm like, wow. And I knew we were making money every day, every week, every month because we were tracking it. Inc. 5000 award, speaking at sponsoring events with Patrick Bet-David, Gary Vaynerchuk, and then receiving the Tucama Club X Award, which is the award right here behind me for building an 8-figure business. But all of that happened not by chance because we tracked our financials, and I did what's called a money date every Sunday. After church, I sit down, my wife, kids know, hey, I'm going through the finances and I'm making sure that we're winning that money game. And that is not by chance when you have that on a weekly basis. So again, as you look at why business owners fail, that top reason is cash flow. That's why it's so important to be able to track it. Let me give you guys a quick case study of exactly how this works. See if I can pull that up there. There we go. All right. So in our platform, and I'm going to give you guys a full demo of how this works in just a minute, but I want to show you just how important this is when it comes to cash flow. So this is called the cash flow creation quadrant. And I was doing this manually by hand when I started Seven Figures Funding, but I knew, for example, let's say our average sales was $2,500 for our average customer. And let's say, we're gonna get financing for 50 clients. We're just getting started here. We're starting to grow. We're gonna grow at 5% a month. But here was the issue that I had previously. We were literally paying marketing to Google and other costs, maybe $1,300 a month. We had some additional cost, merchant processing. And then we also had costs of employees and team members. And so at the end of the day, literally, we're bringing in $2,500 per customer, but we're actually losing money. We were losing money with every customer that came in because we didn't know how to manage that cash flow. And I didn't understand these things. So then I sat down with Dwight and I'm like, all right, I've got this figured out. We're going to put people on more of a commission structure. That cost is never going to be more than $750. We're going to make sure our marketing cost is more of an affiliate program. We're never going to go above $750 there. Now, $2,500 comes in and I've got $925 available. I can still pay rent and a few other costs, but I know I've got money left over. And if I forecast over the next 12 months, I'm going to make $700,000 net profit because I've got the right business model. And so that's what the problem that most business owners have is they don't proactively create that cash flow from day one. And so that was the big aha moment for me. And I'm like, wow, I gotta share this with other business owners so that they can create cash flow in their businesses. And when I started to do that, that was when everything changed. And literally 6 months into that new business, I had made more money in net profit than I had made in the last 2+ years of the other business. And so, okay, aha moment has been had. Now I know what I'm going to do. All right. So then I started looking at more data, right? SCORE, which is the big advisor for SBA, all these business owners, and they're like, hey, cash flow, that's why businesses fail. It's the number one reason small businesses fail. And so I'm seeing this everywhere. So I'm like, what is the solution? Well, for me, it was a meeting with a chief financial officer. It was spending a lot of money and figuring out and having all of that. And I was doing a lot of that by hand. And so it's like, well, simple. Every business owner just needs to hire a chief financial officer. And then if you do the research, guys, how much does a chief financial officer cost? Type in the chat box. Right? That's the solution, right? Someone who is experienced, probably a CPA. Uh-oh. Todd says 150,000. Gail says 100,000 plus plus. And I'm going to really highlight that plus plus there because what I found out was shocking. The average CFO in this country makes $433,000. That is expensive. You're right. Even if it's just 100,000, if you're a small business owner and your profits are $150,000 a year to pay yourself, well, if you pay a chief financial officer 150,000, now you make nothing. That's not very good math. And so that's the issue, right? We know what the solution is. They need a chief financial officer, but that's just out of reach. Most small business owners are not going to be able to afford a chief financial officer. So the good news is what I'm about to show you will allow your clients, entrepreneurs, small business owners, the ability to easily manage cash flow and do it without hiring a chief financial officer. And so that's the solution. So can you see if there was a way for new entrepreneurs and small business owners to have a system that did essentially the same work as a $400,000 per year chief financial officer? Can you see how that would help them succeed at a much higher rate? Type in the chat box if what I'm laying down makes sense to you, right? If they have that system, they can make good decisions and they know if they're winning. Does that make sense? Vince says absolutely. Bill says logical. I like that. Ali, yes. And Todd says he's picking up what I'm laying down. Appreciate that, Todd. Okay, so that's the good news. So let's unpack this. After struggling to create cash flow tracking and forecasting tools, remember, I'm doing it manually. I'm meeting with a CPA and chief financial officer. And I'm like, there's got to be a solution out there. And so Ty and I go out there. We're like, well, there's got to be something out there. We looked at, QuickBooks and some of these other things, and they were very confusing. They were very much for the CPA. And if you're one of the 30 million small business owners, or you serve, 30 million small business owners, or the tens of millions of gig workers, the solopreneur community, this is too complex for them. And frankly, it's not very easy to understand. And so that's where we said, okay, there actually really is not a good solution out there. So let's go ahead and build it ourselves. So we invested $1 million and the outcome was MyFigures. And we've actually had some incredible updates here over just the last little bit. So I want to share with these guys these updates with you. But how many of you would like to see a demo of MyFigures and how this platform can help your business and other businesses? Type yes if you'd like to see how this works. Okay, there we go. Yes, please. Yes, 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 yes. Okay, awesome. All right, let's jump into this here and see if we can. Where's my mouse? There it is. All right. So here we go. Desktop 2. Okay, type in the chat box yes if you can see where it says My Key Figures. Can you see where it says My Key Figures there? Okay, yes. I have been guilty of thinking that I'm sharing the right screen and actually I don't always do it. So here is My Key Figures. How many of you are familiar with KPIs, key performance indicators? Type yes if you're familiar with that. Okay, Todd, JM, MES. So we know key performance indicators track how many leads come in, how many of them are qualified, how many of them sign the agreement, how many of them move forward, get funded, buy our business coaching program, invest in marketing, whatever it is that we're selling. We track that data very religiously. And key financial indicators are the same thing. These are the financial numbers you want to track on a daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly basis, because if you don't track them, then you fail and you make bad decisions. So this is an actual business that is using my figures, and you can see the last 30 days they brought in 42,000. Their expenses were 33,000. You can look at them over the last 60 days, what they've averaged, over the last 90 days, what they've averaged. So they're trending upwards. You can see their current cash balance. This is a forecast of what their cash flow is going to look like if they continue on the same trend. These are their credit card balances here. And then this is their financial performance, right? Are they actually netting profits or losses over the last 3 months? All of that's shown right there. Is their cash flow going up? Is their profit margin going up? 20%, industry average is 21%. They're a small medical practice. So those are the key financial indicators that my figures shows. Then the next question that we had is, okay, Leo, I go through, I've got credit cards for my business. Personally, I've got mortgages, I've got bank accounts, investments. Boy, it'd be nice if I could, log into one place and see all of my accounts in one place. So how many of you would like the ability to see all of your accounts in one place without logging into 15 to 20 different websites? Type yes if that sounds like a win to you, right? Save time, save money, get more efficient. Gail says yes, MES, Charlie's. And that was the question we heard for the first 5 years in the business funding space is, okay, you got me all this money. Now, how do I manage it and make good decisions with it? And so we partnered up with a data provider here, and 99.9% of banks, credit unions, Chase, Wells Fargo, Bank of America, USAA, like all of these financial institutions are connected, so you can see exactly what is going on, transactions as they're happening, and then you can start to automate your bookkeeping. And that can save you money because then you don't have to actually pay for a bookkeeper. You can come over here and be like, well, hey, I know this is always going to be insurance, so I'm going to call this insurance and I'm going to set a rule. Yes, I always categorize this as insurance, and now it's always going to be at the correct expense and the correct income. And that's exactly what you do. And now you know exactly how things are working and that they're working correctly. Okay, perfect. The next thing that you need access to is funding, right? And so if you're in the funding machine community, you can connect your funding business up here. Your clients can actually see how they're doing in funding. They can see their funding plans, et cetera, et cetera. That's awesome. And then you got to check your profit and loss, right? This actually gives you the scorekeeper. Are we making money in our business? And it gives you the chart. You can see last month, this business did really well, 46,000 in sales, just 30,000 in expenses. So fantastic. You can come in here and say, all right, I want to see how did we do last month with our profit and loss? And there it is, just the bottom line numbers, exactly what you need to know. If you want to jump into the expenses, you can jump into the details. How much is payroll? How much is coming out? How much are we spending on advertising? About 11,000 it looks like. But you've got all the important data there to see if you're being profitable. And then the next thing that you want to be able to see is, well, I want to pay off some of these debts, right? I've got a couple of debts here. I've got some equipment. I've got some credit cards. Here's my payments. And then this shows you how fast you'll pay that debt off. Pretty important if you're a business owner, right? The cash flow creation, I showed you how that works. Now let me show you what cash flow forecasting is all about. So forecasting is about making good decisions, right? I can see exactly how I've been doing the last 30, 90 days. If I continue to do what I'm doing, what is my cash balance going to look like? How is it going to work? Is it going to increase? Is it going to go up? And so that cash balance is super important in building all of that data out. And then I can come in here and say, all right, if I make an additional $12,000 because I add that additional service, Then what happens? Maybe I've got some expenses associated with it. Maybe I've got some additional another employee I need to hire. Well, I can go ahead and plug all of that information in and look what happens to my cash balance over the next 6, 9, 12 months. Okay, it goes up. I'm doing well. Sometimes you do the math and the numbers don't add up. Oh, it's going to be 6,500 in additional expense there. A new employee for this type of service is going to be 5,500. You look at it, you're like, oh, okay, that's not really, I'm staying the same. I don't want to stay the same. I want to grow. And so that's what cash flow forecasting is all about. Now, let's say you do have a bookkeeper, you do have accountants. Well, it's very easy to come in here and have your accountant manage that. You can easily manage that. You can invite the people in your business to be able to, track things and get their own user. So that's nice. And then how important is it to be able to send out invoices and get paid? That's pretty important, right? If I can't send out my invoices, if I can't get paid, then that can be a real problem. Let's see if I can get that text message there. There's my code. Get that in there. And let's remember this. One moment here as we log in. So this allows me to be able to manage payments, right? So here I am. I've got my dashboard here. I can send out invoices. I can create different subscription models. I can send out invoices to be paid with a credit card, to be paid with bank account, ACH, whatever the case may be. It tells me if those payments are going through, what all my trends are. Nice and easy to manage. And then it connects right back into your bookkeeping. Money's coming in, money's coming out. So everything is right there in one place. And then one of the coolest features here is what we call our weekly money date. And this is where you get together with your husband, wife, spouse, your business partner, and you're like, how are we doing? Are we winning? Are we losing? You forecast out, we need to buy that piece of equipment. So for your client, this is just a big thing for them to be able to do. And then I thought, well, what if you could actually set goals? How nice would that be? How many platforms can you actually give yourself a goal, give yourself a deadline? Did we do it? Did we succeed? Put some details in there. And so it just allows you to be able to have those goals. We know 3% of the population actually has goals, writes them down. And that's the difference between success and failure. Exactly right. Yeah, Jennifer loves the goal setting functionality. I'm a big fan of it myself. And so this is My Figures, the platform. And so, okay, this is what the business owner needs. Now, how do we get it out there to the business owner? That was our next question. And that's where we said, well, who's already working with business owners, right? And we know that in a lot of our communities that we serve, that a lot of you do work with business owners already. And so we said, well, what if we had a really powerful partner program? What would that look like? Before I jump in that, just giving you guys some different feedback, some different case studies. Some of the folks who have used these types of systems. Damon has used a lot of our systems and built an 8-figure business. Margie's an international keynote speaker. She struggled managing her finances till she implemented that weekly money date and had the software to track it. Dr. Chris Colgan and his wife Sandy manage a medical practice. They just had their best month last month because they're able to track that cash flow. And so, what a client receives is really important with My Figures. And I just showed you everything they receive, but to make it really clear, they get that cash flow creation tools, allows them to create cash flow in their product or service from when they launch it, instead of finding out 5 months later, actually, that we needed to fix our numbers, we were losing money. They can track that cash flow, their profit and loss, on a weekly basis. They can forecast it. I showed you how to forecast it so you're making the right decisions. You've got your profit and loss, which you need for your business tax return, for your CPA to file. You also need that to get an SBA loan, right? And so all of this is done. It's automatically categorized for you, can save you bookkeeping duties, make it easy. Or if your bookkeeper wants an easier job, then a lot of bookkeepers are starting to adopt My Figures into their platform or their management. The funding platform's nice because then Your client can access funding. If you're already in the business funding space, then you connect your funding piece right there so that every time a client is using My Figures, they apply for funding through your funding company. And then, of course, you've got goal setting that we just showed you about, that weekly money date. So that's everything that your client is going to get. I don't know how many of you saw, but QuickBooks just raised their prices and they have gotten awfully, awfully expensive out there. And so My Figures, we have competitively priced it at $14.97 with an annual subscription. But here's the big benefit. As a My Figures distributor, licensed distributor, you keep the majority of the profits and you can actually sell it at a big discount for just $9.97. And so your clients save $500. But in a minute here, you're going to be surprised how much of that $9.97 do you actually get to keep, right? So you've got an annual subscription. By the way, we stand behind our product. It's got a 30-day, no questions asked, money back guarantee, very, very rarely ever used. And the bottom line is this: cash flow is king. You know, your client gets the cash flow creation tool, the ability to track it, forecasting, profit and loss, transaction manager, funding credit platform, goal setting. There's a few bonuses. We do a cash flow workshop for every My Figures user every single month. We have weekly support, onboarding on Wednesday, a live Q&A with our Chief Product Officer, Robert. We've got the money date trading. It's just like if you have a relationship and you don't go out on that date for your relationship, your husband, wife, spouse, partner, what happens to that relationship? Type in the chat box. Does that relationship get better or worse if you do or don't do that weekly date? It gets boring, right? It gets worse. You need to go on a vacation, just you and your husband, wife, you know, at least once or twice a year. You need to go out, no kids, go get some dinner, go to a movie, do something. Otherwise, your relationship will wilt and die. And it's just the same with money. As a business owner or entrepreneur, if you don't have that weekly money date, you will fail, no question about it. The My Figures dashboard, those key financial indicators, help your client be able to do this. And now you can get them this product at a massive discount, just $997. But here's a quick question. How much of that $997 can you keep as a My Figures partner? What do you think? How much do you think you should be able to keep if you bring in the client and we provide the product and the solution? Okay, Vince says $500. All right, 50%. That sounds fair. Well, let's break down some of the how this works. Obviously, the benefits to you: you monetize more prospects, you create additional recurring revenue, you solve your clients' number one problem other than capital and funding. We know the number one reason why businesses fail is cash flow. It allows you to communicate and send notifications to your clients, cutting edge fintech tools, save your clients money, no more bookkeeper expenses, earn recurring revenues from new My Figures signups, earn overrides for referring other organizations. Those are all wonderful benefits, but I really want to just show you exactly how powerful and how easy this is to work. So I'm gonna go ahead and jump forward here. Right there. Let's start right there. Okay. So here's how this works. We are rolling out the My Figures Partner Program, where you have the opportunity to actually get an annual license, the same one that retails on the website for $14.97. You can pay just $300 and now you own an annual license. We're recommending you sell it for $1,000. So remember, a lot of you were saying, hey, 50-50 sounds fair. Well, guess what? Right now, we're going to actually give you 70%. So you're going to keep $700 of that $1,000 sale. And if you made one sale every day, seven a week, here's how much you would earn in the first year. Is one customer a day, is that setting any records for a software cash flow solution that they need as a business owner? Is that setting any records? I don't think so, right? Just one a day, that's it. One a day, 7 a week. You earn $235,000 up front. But remember, why are we all here? we want to generate passive recurring revenue, right? Like that's what we're trying to do. Well, here's the good news, right? Recurring revenue wise, you've got the $700 sale up front. And if you're doing just one customer a day, that adds up to $100,000 recurring year after year after year. So you make the upfront 235, and then when the customer renews, we do all the work, make sure the customer renews at that plan, and you get paid 30% of the recurring every single year forever, right? Those of you who are in the insurance space, you know there's an upfront commission and then you get your recurring. Well, this is a strong recurring plan, isn't it? Compared to most options out there. So again, now here's what happens if you do this for 5 years. The biggest problem that most of us have is we jump around different industries, different spaces, different businesses. But when you're committed and you're focused, I've been studying this podcast called Founders Podcast, and it studies the most successful entrepreneurs in history, whether it's Steve Jobs, Elon Musk, whether it's John D. Rockefeller, the big oil guy, Andrew Carnegie. The best entrepreneurs were focused on one thing because the results compound. So 5 years, if you focus in on this with a $700 upfront sale, and then you're earning $300 annually in recurring revenue, after 5 years, you will have earned $1.1 million in upfront commissions. But the big kicker is the recurring. $500,000 is what you would be earning in recurring revenue after 5 years of actually sticking to this. And again, we're in this for the long run. We're on a mission to serve 1 million business owners and help them create profitable businesses so they can create an epic life for them and their family. And the only way we can do it is by building out a team of Jedi Knights. And that's what we see. We've got a crazy mission to help business owners create cash flow, be profitable, be productive, and succeed versus going out of business, which is what happens to a lot of them, right? And this is the end result benefit that can happen for you. Now, let's say I'm only 20% right. Okay. I'm only 20% right because you have to do this part-time and you've got a lot of stuff going on, maybe something like that. Let's say I'm only 20% right. That's still $235,000 in upfront commissions and $100,000 in annual recurring revenue. Of course, I could be wrong to the upside too. Some of you might be making $1 million in recurring revenue because you go out and you build a Dream 100 list and you find who already has your dream partner. We will do virtual workshops if you bring groups in and you earn an override on all of those, sell your licenses to those groups, and that's how we can sign up dozens, if not hundreds of people all at once. I'll present the workshop, you bring the group in, and that's been a very powerful strategy that has worked extremely well. So here's how it works. We've got email templates, we've got marketing, we'll do virtual presentations. You connect your small business owner on Zoom. You also demo your MyFigures account. I'm going to show you in a few seconds how you can get access to your own MyFigures account. You offer them that discount, 33% discount, and you buy the license for $300, you sell it for $1,000, you net $700 per sale, you build that recurring revenue. So that's how it works. So here's the ridiculous offer that you would be crazy to say no to, as Alex Hormozi would say today. This is our MyFigures licensed partner that we are rolling out this week. So you can buy again the license for $300. Now, if you want to sell for more than $1,000, you can. You can sell for $1,200, $1,300, still cheaper than the $1,500 on the website. If you want to sell for $700, $800, you can do that as well. You can create additional recurring revenue in your business. Again, we did the math. How many people have we all helped over the years? And if just a fraction of them had this kind of product that they need to succeed as a business owner, how much more recurring revenue would we have? What kind of relationship would we have with our clients? It would be next level. It is their number one problem. Cash flow allows you to be able to communicate with them on the back end part of the administrative section, cutting edge fintech tools for your clients. Save your clients money, no more bookkeeper expenses, earn the recurring revenues plus the $700 upfront per sale. There's other overrides. If you just refer other organizations into the program, you can override on them if they have clients to serve. And then we've got a bonus here. And the bonus is we're actually going to give you the Cashflow Pro membership for your own business. So you're going to get your own Cashflow membership. And then, of course, you can also use that to demo that, right? The other thing that we're going to throw in too is we're actually going to throw in an additional license. So remember, those licenses are $300. Well, you're actually going to get a free license to be able to sell. So by starting today for just $397, you get your own Cashflow membership for your business, plus you get a license, which we know they'll start at $300, and you can sell it for $1,000. So basically, go sell your first license, bring in $1,000, have access to the program. And to show you just how simple this is, and let me go ahead and post you can scan the QR code right there, or you can click on the link, which is right there in the chat box. But let me show you how easy it is with these licenses. So once you're into your My Figures account, there's some tools that we built out for our partners. So the first one you'll find is right here in my profile. It's called License Distribution, right? So you're going to come here to License Distribution. You're like, okay, I want to get my first license because, I'm supposed to get it for free. Yes, you are. I agree. So you're going to come here to check out. And if you have any questions, you can just email support@myfigures.com. You're going to check out, and then you'll just put in this simple code, and this will actually make it so your first license is absolutely free. Let's see if I can get in there. Oh, hold on. I got to get the code. Let's see. I got it highlighted. There we go. So the code on this, and again, you guys can email us if you have any questions, but it's just MF1 license free. And you'll click apply and you'll see, okay, great, $0. So that's how you lock in your first license for free. Once you do that in the license distribution portal right here, you'll be able to go ahead and issue those licenses. It will email your client their information, and then they'll be able to log into My Figures after they pay you. They can pay you cash, credit card, however you want. If you guys need a merchant processor, we can help you get set up. Or you could just use My Figures and actually send out your invoice right here in the payment section here, and just send out the invoice. And of course, your client or customer can just pay you right then and there very quickly, very easily, with the merchant processing, with the invoicing that is already built out right there into My Figures. So that, my friends, is how it works. You can get started again just for $397, and that basically gives you the Cashflow membership, which is valued at $1,000, plus you get your first license, et cetera, et cetera. So all that said, I know you guys probably have a few questions here. We've got a few minutes that we can answer those for you. Yes, yes. If you're talking, yes, client referrals come to you. They don't become your competition. Exactly right. Absolutely, Erica. We will send out the replay here, and we're going to keep this offer live up until midnight on Friday. So this checkout link will be live if you want to go ahead and bookmark that right there. If you have any questions, there is the link right there to check out and get started. You're able to log right in. And then, of course, we have onboarding and so forth already set up for that. You can also, if you have more questions, you can also set up a one-on-one call with one of our team members, Robert. He can answer any questions that you might have about getting started and building your cash flow empire by helping serve small businesses with this cash flow platform. All right, if we go ahead and do the funding machine, do we get My Figures license partner included for a year? Yes, you do, Jennifer. I'm glad you answered that. Yes, you do. If you are in the funding machine community, you get your own annual subscription free for a year. And you can also be, you're also automatically into the My Figures partner licensing. And actually, we're looking at having an even better deal for our funding machine owners to be able to offer My Figures to their clients and build that recurring revenue stream, et cetera, et cetera. The recurring costs are just $397, right? So it's $397 as a MyFigures distributor partner. That includes your membership for your business in MyFigures. And then it also includes, obviously, the ability for you to be able to sell licenses, buy them at $300, sell them for $1,000, and your first license is free. So basically, you can get your first sale for $1,000 and you're coming out profitable, very profitable with just your first MyFigures sale. And again, guys, this is a mission, right? These small business owners, these gig workers, they don't know how to track their cash flow. They don't get the support that they need. We have a live workshop for all of our MyFigures users every Wednesday at 2 o'clock Eastern. We answer their questions. We support them. We've got CPAs that come on that give advice, counsel, chief financial officers, everything to help your clients succeed. And it's important for you to do it as well, right? You're a business owner, you're an entrepreneur, you need to be able to manage your finances. And by the way, you can also manage your personal finances in the personal finance section, which there's a personal finance section as well. Yes, there is. Great question by Gail here. Let me show you guys some of the tools that we've got put together for you in terms of landing pages. We've got a landing page set up in MyFigures. So once you're in there, we have the referral section right here, right? And so the referral section is already put together. This is the full affiliate system with all of the media and technology. So you can literally go ahead and copy these links here, and these links have an automated workshop that tracks back to you. So the client can go ahead and make payment right here. They can sign up there, but let me see if I can find there it is. Ah, there it is. So we've got a free book funnel. This is again, I'm a funnel guy. So this is a funnel that you can actually share with your client. It comes with a free book, the 3 cash flow secrets that help me scale to 8 figures. And so you can actually go ahead and share this book and link, share it with your client. Your client can go through, get the free book, and then on the next page, they can watch the cash flow secrets webinar. And then after they watch that, then I recommend you. So basically, I would share this link, Gail, with them, have them get the book, have them watch the web class, and then I would schedule a follow-up call the next day, answer their questions. I would do a demo of MyFigures account so they can see how it works. And that's why it's important to be a product of the product. Actually set your business up, connect your account, show them how it works. And then of course, collect payment and get them access to MyFigures. And so it's doing all the heavy lifting for you. I'm glad you brought this up. You're sharing that link, which is right there in the affiliate dashboard. And then, of course, you can track all of your long-term recurring revenue commissions. Of course, the upfront commissions, you'll just collect that payment yourself. You can use PayPal, the merchant processor. Again, I recommend getting your merchant processing set up. If you're in the funding machine community, which Gail, I know you are, you would probably just do it with PlatPay, which is a great merchant processor. But you can also just do it right here in the payments section here through MyFigures as well. Yep, exactly. It's essentially a white label link there, and you just share any of those links, and then that does the heavy, basically educates them. That webinar is very similar to the webinar that I just showed you, but it's done from the vantage point perspective of the business owner, of their challenge and of their needs. Exactly right, Al. Product of the product, right? That's why we give you your own membership to MyFigures for being a distributor so that you have the product and you can demo it and show them how it works. Once you make the sale, basically we have a Wednesday onboarding every Wednesday at 2 o'clock. So you can email support@myfigures.com and any questions with that. But Robert actually will do a one-on-one onboarding. You can email Robert@myfigures.com. He'll do a one-on-one onboarding with your client who signs up, and just show them how to connect their accounts, how to categorize expenses, income, just get the rules set up. Because once their accounts are set up and they have the categorizing automatically set up, then the system really runs itself. And then they just log in every day and you check those key financial indicators. And so Robert is available. He's got a calendar link as well. He can get you so that every time you have a sale, I would really recommend that one-on-one, because then the client will get things set up properly. But of course, we have the live Q&A every Wednesday as well. Yes, there is. Yes, if you bring in referral partners, just email support@myfigures.com, and we have override systems set up for you to override on every sign up. So let's say, for example, this is a great question here by looks like it's KI think, right? So Kai, if you bring in Bob and Bob has 100 clients that want to take advantage of my figures, then we can get you a recurring override of 10% on every one of his clients that sign up, and that recurs in perpetuity forever. So absolutely, and that's how you can win big, right? Because then you're bringing on people who have big lists and bunch of clients that need this. You can think of all the use cases for business coaches, consultants, training organizations in real estate and e-commerce who really need this software in their platform, and it will add a lot of value to what they're doing.